What up, everyone? Welcome back to the Anime Version Podcast. You got me, Gozen from Anime Uproar, and my co-host Briggs. What up, Briggs?
What up, boys? Always good to be back. Excited to
And
end off the ReZero portion with a bang.
yes, oh, what a bang it is! And we got Too Spooky returning as the favorite ReZero Virgin.
Oh, the favorite, you say?
Yes,
The
you are the only
favorite.
one, but also as a result, the favorite.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean that, but you say the only one. But today we were actually Virgin Squared.
You are correct.
That's
So
true.
yes, you are the favorite among us three,
Damn.
as well. But yeah, we are all the virgins. Even Briggs, the guy who was chatting it up this whole time, is actually a virgin now
I
as
have
well.
never, this is my first time experiencing season 2, part 2 of ReZero, and oh my god, was it good.
Also, important
So good.
news, as you guys know, we are finishing ReZero today, and thus we are moving on next week to Madoka Magica. Is that the right pronunciation, Briggs?
I believe so. So basically what's happening is we're considering what next series to cover, whether it's Jujutsu Kaisen or My Hero Academia, something a little bit longer that'll last a good handful of weeks. But I figured while we decide what we want to do and we confirm our virgin, we could do a little series that I haven't seen that I've been meaning to watch for a long time. And I know a lot of my audience has wanted me to watch it. So Madoka Magica is 12 episodes, I believe, or 13. So I figured we could just do one episode. Goes in. You haven't seen it either, right?
No. So if Nux comes on, who's a fan, I'm guessing.
He is a fan of
Is
the
he a fan
series.
of it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so then he could let us know. Except it'll suck being Animac in that situation,
Yeah.
and him being like, "Bro, why
You
did you
missed
not
this.
freak out over this?"
You missed
Yeah.
this. You have no heart, bro.
But I'm down.
No, but we'll both be in the
Yeah,
virgin
exactly.
situation there. So I think it'll be
We'll both be in the hot seat.
yeah,
It's like, bro,
exactly.
she's just a magic girl, bro.
All right, so one more thing before we jump into covering what happened during the final part of ReZero. I want to give a huge thank you to Too Spooky. Can you guys all please go follow him on YouTube and Twitch and stuff? Because he took not only he wasn't just a guest for 1 week. He took part of and became the anime virgin for 4 weeks, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
Hey, it was a blast. Thank you guys for bullying me into watching so much.
Let's
It was
go.
fantastic, and I can't wait to talk about it. It was a pleasure.
Hell
Thanks
yeah,
for
hell
having
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So glad to have you on, man. And yeah, initial thoughts, guys. I know me and Spooky were talking a bit, and I really think this part is my favorite out of all of ReZero. I finally see the hype. I didn't after the first season. I didn't see why it was so hype, but like after this part, I do. And yeah, I just thought near the ending there, it was like masterpiece level.
I think for the most part, I loved the way it ended, and I enjoyed most things. There were a few things I was a little bit like, we'll get into it when we get into it. But for the most part, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'd have to say so far this is probably my favorite section, just mainly because so many things, like so many different plot threads just all coming together at once and having like a satisfying conclusion for this season.
Yeah.
I think it just really warmed my heart.
Well, I mean, I feel like ReZero is one of those shows that even when we get like a conclusion to season 1 or a conclusion to like the first part of season 2, like it's never really done. Like there's like, I mean, it's not done now, but like we finally had some resolution.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I don't know the news about another season, but I could totally see them just like finishing the anime off here and just being like, buy the source material if you want more.
Nah, there's got to be some more
I'm
stuff. But
hoping.
yes,
I mean, it's definitely popular enough, but with anime, you never know, unfortunately.
it's true.
Yeah, unfortunately. Which that reminded me in the beginning we were talking about which isekai I've seen. I completely forgot about No Game No Life. Just
Oh,
throwing
true.
that out there.
Another one with no next season. This is Jose.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that was a
that's
fun
what
one.
maybe
Dude,
they
I
could
was
have-
looking like for our recent podcast where we roasted like anime in 4 words. I was looking at like top rated anime. Like No Game No Life is so freaking popular. It has such a huge fan base. Why is there
What's
not a
the
season
rating?
2?
What's the rating?
It was something dumb. It was ridiculous. I don't remember what it was, but it was like
was
number
over
14
8, I'm
in
guessing.
regards to popularity. I was like, I don't
So
know.
is popularity how many people watched it? So how many people gave the rating?
It was some random ranking website. I don't even think it was Mount, but it was just like something based on popularity. I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect list to roast. So I was looking through it. I'm like, No Game to Life number 14? What the hell? That's insane. And there was like thousands and thousands of votes.
That's so ridiculous that we don't even get a season 2.
No, ridiculous. And there's enough source material.
Yeah, and for sure, yeah. It's a light novel, right?
What I think, in my opinion, what happened is when season 1 aired and finished, there wasn't enough source material for a number 2, because I read the light novels pretty much right after watching the anime. And obviously we got to jump back to ReZero, but pretty much what happened was there wasn't enough source material, and I feel like they gave it a little bit of an anime-only ending. Yes and no. It's a little complicated. And then it's like so much time probably went by while they waited for like more material, and now it's like they think it's too late.
Yeah, so just to put it in perspective for you guys, on Mal it's 8.16 with over 1.2 million ratings.
Yeah, it's wild.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Like maybe they think the hype went down, or maybe it's like, okay, we achieved our job with the anime, and we've now everyone's just like I literally just bought like all the light novels and read them.
Nice. Special thank you to Sam the Gum Man, always supporting us. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. It's amazing. And yeah, you guys want to start the chronological order?
Yeah, where does this start, Spooky?
I believe it starts right after Otto punches him in the face.
Otto is best boy, I must say.
Otto keeps shining. He keeps shining. That's for sure.
And then I think right afterwards is basically where he challenges Roswald, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Says basically we're gonna do basically this loop in particular. Every single thing is gonna go right, and if you lose, you got to get rid of your book, pal.
Yeah, exactly. And he also makes a deal where he's like, okay, Subaru, if you lose, you gotta follow the book.
Yeah, that as well.
And so, like, they both have something to gain, something to lose. And the interesting thing is that although Subaru didn't know it, we later find out that Roswell did this kind of magic seal on them where whoever lost would have this implanted on them, and then they pretty much have to follow the results.
I love how like it was like an unbreakable vow, but Subaru didn't even know. Like the whole time, he probably just thought like he could just go like die and go back. Like I know he had the resolve to try to win it this one last time, but like if I was in his situation, I'd be like, well, if I die, like you won't even remember the promise we made, sucker.
Exactly.
No, that was amazing. And I like how at first he was upset by that information, but then it's like, all right, that proves that we can trust Roswell kind of thing. So
the reason why I love this so much is like, so at the end of last season and the start of this season, we had Otto kind of like pulling Subaru out and being like, I'm your friend. Like you could rely on me a little bit. And that's even what the second part of the trial did for Subaru. And Roswell was trying to teach Subaru, like, you have to make sacrifices like me. We're the same. You have to make sacrifices. And he set up the scenario where, like, he couldn't do everything. He couldn't do the trials and help Amelia and deal with Garfield and deal with the rabbits and deal with the mansion that he hired, like, the assassins to go there. Like, he made it so, like, he had to choose. And, like, Subaru was like, no, I'm still going to make it all work out, which is, like, very idealistic and, like, naive.
It's
but, like,
idealistic.
He learned that he could rely on his friends to do it.
Exactly.
And that's what, like he didn't do it himself.
Yeah, exactly. That was like the big revelation here, because this whole time he was trying to do everything by himself. And it's like, yeah, maybe you could accomplish everything to an extent, but you need to rely on others. You can't just do it all on your own.
Well, it was impossible. Like he would have to make sacrifices if he only did like relied on himself, like Roswell would probably do as well. But he had options.
Yeah, and he also had to push Amelia to be able to do the trials, like obviously in his stead, since she was having so much trouble that entire time. Gave a lot of character development for her as well.
I'm thinking a lot of the parts we saw here, I absolutely loved, and Briggs probably thought were cringe. like the emotional parts and like the cuteness stuff, because like I really enjoyed this arc with their moments, like Amelia and Subaru. What did you think of all those moments, Briggs?
There was definitely some moments I liked. I personally, because I do ship Subaru and Amelia, so I did like those moments. There was a little bit too much love in it for me, with like Ram loving Roswell, Roswell loving the teacher, Beatrice loving this person, Garfield loving this person. Like, shut the fuck up! God damn it!
Briggs.
Let's see what Spooky thinks.
I loved it all.
Cringe.
Me too, man.
Loving your wife is cringe. I'll say it again.
My heart. Yes, my heart.
My heart, dude. And like the moment where Amelia's like, oh, there's baby in my belly over here because she got kissed. I was like, oh my god.
That was so fucking funny. I literally laughed out loud for that.
Dude, me and Spooky were talking about it. Like her ears are red.
Yeah.
Like that's how much she's blushing. It's so cute. It's so
Okay,
cute.
Oh,
I will say, I think I just have a soft spot for Amelia and Echidna. So like whenever they do anything remotely cute, I'm like, ah. And then whenever like someone else does it, like shut the fuck up.
see, I have a soft spot for the power of love, Briggs. That's
Yeah.
why every
Cringe.
moment I'm just like, yes, let's go.
But like
I
no,
get-
Puck telling Amelia that if you kiss someone, like you could get pregnant or you get pregnant, and then her believing it was so fucking hilarious.
She's so innocent,
But
right?
she was
Like,
so
she doesn't
ready.
even
She's like,
know.
it's gonna be hard to take on the election and like be a candidate and raise a baby, but I'm willing to do it.
Oh my god, it was so beautiful, man. I absolutely loved it, and I finally see the Amelia ship. Like it makes more sense because after the first season, we just didn't have enough, but now we have enough for like full ship ahead.
Well, they removed the Rem completely, to be fair. So I think
Yeah,
that
as I
adds a lot to
mentioned,
that as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Like I was pointing that out. I'm like, they needed to remove her to give Amelia the time to shine because Amelia's just not as aggressive as Rem, so she won't get as many moments.
Yeah.
And they needed to do it, but it worked out. I mean, I feel bad. I don't really. I kind of you forget about Rem, unfortunately, because she just passed out for this entire season.
She doesn't
But-
exist.
But
Was
you
she
really
still unconscious
start to, like-
without a like soul at the end of the season as well?
Yeah.
It was weird because she was in a chair, right? But maybe they were just carrying her around.
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah,
just
I think
carrying her around,
so.
which means we need a season 3.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
And there's
for
still a
sure.
lot that needs to be done. Amelia needs to be elected. I'm sure there's gonna be people that are against it because she looks like the witch and Subaru smells like the witch, and they have to wake Rem up. There's still a lot of plot points that need to be filled, but for the most part, we got a lot of resolution this arc. Or this.
And it's a good feel good. Obviously, for Rem fans, it's like, what the fuck? But it's a good feel good moment at the end where it's like, dude, he finally becomes the knight. At first, when he said he was the knight, he was so like, it was such a joke. People were like, yo, you can't just say that. Now he's finally earned it. And it just feels so good.
Yeah, and even the people that were probably there witnessing it, this time they had a lot more respect for Subaru because he helped against the whales.
Dude, he did such
Yeah.
good for rabbits, you mean, right?
I'm
yeah,
not talking about
and
the whales
rabbits.
because they like the people of that kingdom got to witness.
Yeah.
Like him fighting the whales, and he brought them all together, and he earned a lot of people's respects, including the knights. You know.
Exactly. The whale hero, the rabbit hero.
He's proved himself.
great.
Yeah, like the rabbit
yeah.
hero, he did that in front of like the people in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the legend of Subaru is coming along nicely, especially when we consider where he started from, and like it's crazy to think about, right? I love it. I love to see it. Where do we want to now go back to? Because we're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just
Because
too exciting. Just so much
it's
has
such
happened.
a good ending,
I
right?
know.
It's such a good ending. But yeah. So where do we want to kind of rewind to?
Well, I feel like so Subaru's first idea was to take on Garfield and help Amelia, type of thing. Or I guess
Yeah.
Otto and Ram took on Garf or whatever his name is, and he went to
Garfield, yeah.
Garfield and Garfield. I keep on saying field. Like
We also
they,
accept young Gar.
young
That's also
Gar. They
acceptable.
went to.
Yes.
He's 14 years old,
Yeah.
which makes how he acts make a lot more sense.
Dude, he's such a Chad for 14 years old.
That is true. That is true. He really is. You know what was fucking Chadley? I'm sorry to jump ahead again, but this was like I wanted to tweet about it so badly, but I didn't want to even spoil people. Dude, he bit a vampire's neck.
Yeah.
Like vampires bite your neck
Yeah.
and drain your blood. He's like, nah, bruh. I'm a fucking Chad. I will bite
I
a
was-
vampire's neck right now.
Oh
I
my
was
God,
wondering
didn't
what would
realize
happen.
that.
I was wondering what would happen. I'm like, is he gonna become like a vampire now? Will he get cool new powers? But maybe he was just
Yeah.
flexing on her. She's like, you don't bite me, I bite you, bitch.
But yeah, so we were at the point where like Otto and Ram were distracting Garf or young Gar while Subaru could talk to Amelia. And as Spooky pointed out, like Subaru was trying to make Amelia like accept her past, and I don't know if you want to take it from here, Spooky. Go for it.
Mainly just gain some confidence, more or
Yes.
less. Because I feel like the entire time, like, for instance, when he kept saying, like, oh, I love you, I do all this stuff for you, and she's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But in those moments, he kind of also had to be, like, really more on the aggressive side with her and actually, like, point out, like, hey, you're making all these mistakes, like, knock it off. Or, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, no, I really appreciated all of that stuff because, yeah, those characters can seem cold at first, right? And then you're like,
Mhm.
I didn't know how to perceive right away Emilia, but we start to like unlock more layers of her, and as a result, you have a newfound appreciation for the way she was acting was because she was insecure, not because she was like, stuck up or whatever it might seem like in the beginning.
I also very much like I said, like I love his cringe, obviously. But I love the conversation between Amelia and Subaru, where he was like, "I love you," and like I don't like the whole blind loving regardless of faults. So like Subaru called her out, like, "You're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong," or like you're being like this, you're being selfish, you're whatever it was, or you're being insecure. He kind of called her out for her faults, and he's like, "But I love you regardless, and I'm able to believe in you, even though you are those things or are acting that way because I love you, and I know you're gonna improve and like make your way through it." And like that was just perfect for me.
Yeah, I agree.
That was
Very
Now I will say that wasn't cringe. I support that.
He won't let her
Amelia.
bullshit him or bullshit herself.
Exactly.
And yeah, you gotta appreciate that. And we saw that a bit in Rem as well, where she's like, "Yeah, we could run away. That's what I want, but the you I love will never do that." It's like a catch-22.
Yeah.
And then I think we transition right into her first trial right after that, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe so.
Get her backstory finally.
Yeah, how that was crazy because we got the Betelgeuse parts, which was crazy to think about. Now he was still annoying as fuck when I was watching it, but now you have it does such a great job of being like, oh yeah, now look at this in a new angle, and we were missing that, and now it's like, wow.
Dude, I love the Betelgeuse backstory. Like Loki, like, okay, Amelia had a cool backstory and all, but the fact that like my man, I don't even know his name, Goose was there, and you get to see how he goes crazy was kind of amazing.
Yeah, it gives like you wouldn't even think like, oh, there's just this random like really crazy enemy, he follows the witches. Yeah, it makes sense, but there's this whole other layer to it this entire time, and it makes you like sympathize with him. It made me appreciate season 1 a lot more.
I think it was a combination. Yeah, for real, because like he could have just been a throwaway villain that like was crazy witch cultist. They could have left it like that, but they decided to actually make it good writing and make it that like he was a good person. But he kind of offered up his body and soul to the witches so that he could protect the people he cared about. And at the same time, he went crazy because while he was in that state, I don't know if the other, like whatever that witch that was there.
I believe the witch tricked him into doing it.
Was it that the witch tricked him into like?
I believe it was genjutsu.
It was like an illusion-esque thing. So he thought it was her and ended up killing like Amelia's stepmom.
Dude, imagine. Yeah. Imagine in being that situation where you just trade your soul to help protect the woman you love, and then right as you think you're protecting her, you accidentally kill her. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I feel like in real time, you got to see him like go from being super nice and like naive to like kind of like fighting his craziness to like kind of going completely mad after killing the person he loves. And it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Like he literally walks away with those fucking like eyes, like looks like they're about to burst out, veins all over his face, blood all over his face, and he starts laughing. He starts laughing. And it reminded me of like Subaru when he was laughing before he died to Puck one time.
Yeah. And now we finally understand why Beatrice had fond memories of Goose, right? Because there was that moment where she's like, oh, poor Goose, and it's like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah, for real.
But he was just a good guy all along.
Yeah, who lost his mind, right? So he should be in an insane asylum, not necessarily like hell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. I really enjoyed that part. What about the whole? I don't even know if I fully understood this. So Amelia's mom, not mom, like what was going on there? Because she had this mother figure, right, who always took care of her. But then they were like, she was my mom. So did she mean that in like a metaphorical sense or like a straight up sense?
I think it was
probably metaphorical.
It was a metaphorical thing. Like she was the person who raised me. I loved her like a mother. She was my mom because she was the one who like raised me. But I don't think it was the actual like person that birthed her.
And that made Goose the father figure, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what her second trial was all about, like what the life would be like if they were all like a big happy family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I know they like referred to her as the witch's daughter a few times too. Like I don't know if they meant that metaphorically because she's just like you know, a half elf or whatever, or if like her actual mother is some sort of witch. They don't really explain that, but they kind of sprinkled that in there a couple times I noticed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they leave it
I think it's
open.
very possible that her actual mother could be like that other witch, the witch of envy.
The envy, yeah.
Yeah, she's overcome her witch phobia, I guess you could say, because when later she'll enter with those witches, that one witch, and she's like, later we could all the witches could have tea together, kind of thing. So I feel like she's accepted her inner witch, so to speak.
Yeah, well, something actually that I kind of wanted to point out that just kind of felt weird to me is like you notice how when we see Amelia like as she is now, like when she's in the forest that's frozen and she's talking with Roswell and they make the deal, right? Where he's like, if you join this royal selection, I'll unfreeze everybody. Like you guys remember that part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much time passes during that? Because I don't really know if like we're supposed to believe that Amelia was just in the forest the whole time, like growing up, or if she's like lived other places.
No,
But
Amelia was frozen too, I'm pretty sure.
okay, then that makes even less sense because it's like when she goes, you know, into like the actual world and starts interacting with people again, because like she was sheltered for her entire life, and yet I feel like she did really well with the fact that like so many people are automatically just like disregarding her and like being really racist toward her, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like for somebody who'd been away from all that for so long, it didn't really make sense for her character to be able to handle that so well when we first meet her. Or maybe that's just me.
That's true. I guess like so Subaru kind of helped her in a way where it was like he was the one. The reason why Amelia was fond of Subaru in general was because like he was probably the only person that actually treated her with respect and saw her for like an individual and not just like the outer appearance of a witch, right? But yeah, I agree. I feel like she could have had that could have caused a lot of trauma and been a thing.
Yeah, and like I feel like we just should have saw like more of that, like
Yeah.
more people like when she first gets back into the world, everyone's like, "Yo, like you know, you're kind of, you know, like the witch in the flesh right here. Like what's going on?"
Roswell
Witch
could have also
personified.
sheltered her a lot. Like we don't really. I think we got a little bit of a time. There was a time skip, right? Because she was frozen.
Yeah,
she was still
we're
a
missing
kid.
some stuff.
Roswell
Yeah.
saved her, and then we get a time skip to the present, more or less. Like we don't get to see like the in between period of what she went through at all.
Gotcha.
And it does seem a bit taboo sometimes because even when what's his name Subaru said Satella that one time after she said that was her name, after he died and came back, people were like, "Yo, he fucking just say that? Like, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah,
So
it seems that
does
like,
seem taboo
other
to
people wouldn't
mention
go
it.
that far.
Yeah. So even though everyone's probably thinking it and treating her differently as a result, they're not straight up saying like, "Yo, Satella, burn the witch, burn the witch."
Yeah,
At least in
I
the
would be
big
interested
city.
to see like what her upbringing was like under Roswell.
Yeah, that's more of, like my only complaint is just like they show that and then they kind of just skip ahead to where like she's already existing in the world.
Yeah.
Like I wish we would have seen her getting used to that because she was sheltered so much like as a child, it just like, you know, I feel like there's this big gap.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I
and they
also
might
feel
fill
like
that
she
in
handled the
later.
trials like ridiculously easily. Like it was so hard for her in the beginning, and then boom, she gets her memories back, and now it's like all 3 trials, easy
And I
slap.
think- I
She,
think
she
it's
speed
the-
ran. She speed ran the trials any
It's
percent, bro.
the power of love, bro. Like that's what it is. Like it's the power of human connection, and she just didn't have a rock. She didn't have something to tether her. And now when Subaru just like, you know, convinced her that she can rely on him, it gave her all the strength she needed to actually get through that stuff.
So apparently, there's a Frozen Bond movie that
There
like
is.
like that we should probably
Oh,
watch.
I didn't even know
It
that
covers a lot
I
of
didn't know
Amelia's
there was any
past and
movies.
backstory.
I did see it come up on Crunchyroll after I finished this, but I think like technically it's happening somewhere in between. Like some people suggest watching it after the first season, but yeah, it'll probably fill in some
It
gaps.
details Amelia's past after waking up.
Oh, okay. So
Well, I
there's-
fucked up. My chat was recommending me tell Spooky and you to watch it before this episode. I'm like, nah, it's OVA, bro.
Sure enough, the one complaint's already taken
Literally
care
the
of.
one
I didn't
complaint.
know.
That's pretty perfect. Yeah. And
So
I
it was
mean-
in the light
funny.
novel and it was canon, I guess, and they just decided to do it as an OVA instead.
Oh, so yeah,
That's
you came
so
in
funny
playing
to
the
me.
light novel. Yeah.
They actually thought about that and had an entire different thing. That's crazy.
It probably it was too much content to fit into the season,
Man.
maybe.
I thought I was big brain thinking about that too. I feel
You're extra big brain now, not gonna lie, because like it's
Oh.
like wow they the one thing
Skip.
that was kind of missed here was done just outside of the season, and you noticed
Yeah.
that.
That's nuts.
Okay, but I still feel like I understand why it was easy for her, and what's it called? Echidna even says like this is you're gonna like go through this like so easily with your current mindset, right? Like having no regrets and kind of trusting in Subaru and trusting in herself and having more confidence, and also just like accepting that like she'll deal with the future and she's not worried about the past. Like, oh, all these potential future outcomes, they don't really matter to me because I'll deal with it when I get to it. Like, I'm not gonna let your trial get to me.
Yeah, and I really like that. I feel like mentally, like everyone goes through periods where they're like, "Fuck, what if this happens? What if this happens?" And the fact that she just trusts herself to be able to figure it out when it comes, I think is just huge mental
Yes.
development for any human being to like get to the point of that.
Although I think I would have preferred if, like, let's say she was thrown into a situation of a shitty future and she had to, like, kind of try to deal with it and fail. Deal with it and fail. And kind of go through what Subaru went through in his real life. Like, she could do that in the trial and then realize, like, I can't do this all by myself or something. I just feel like it was almost too easy that the trials
You were
that, like,
right.
didn't even
You
matter
were
to
right
me.
when you said they like speed ran it because like you just heard voices, right? You didn't even fully experience what was going on. Maybe it was supposed to be like, yo, she's actually experiencing each one of these voices as like a full reality kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, it was up for interpretation.
I feel like Subaru, when he experienced his trials, like we got to see him in it. Even if it was only briefly, he got to witness it. I feel like they really rushed Amelia's trials.
Yeah.
And I know it's because it was
agree.
supposed to be easy for her after all the development she went through, but I still would have liked to see her like thrown into it and then overcome it.
I forget which character talked to her afterwards, but they also kind of mentioned that Echidna purposely showed her like only bad futures.
Yeah, I
Like-
think it's the witch, right?
Yeah.
Like the other witch, the good witch. I don't know her name, but the blonde one.
Oh yeah, Wrath, right? It's got to be Wrath. That one.
I'm trusting you. Yeah. No, I think so. That makes sense. Yeah, Wrath.
Yeah, what's it called? Wait,
That's right.
what are you guys talking? Oh yeah, it was
When she finishes the trials and Wrath comes up right behind her. I forget like her actual name,
Minerva.
but I think that's
Minerva.
Minerva. Yes.
Yeah, so Minerva was kind of
Minerva's so
comforting
good,
and literally
man.
says, "Yeah, Echidna is like doesn't even want to see you right now." And the reason why the features you saw were all bad were because she was like being mean.
Yeah.
She doesn't like you very much, actually.
And I mean, Echidna was honest about that the whole time. She was like, "I hate you so much. I hate you
Yeah.
so much." It's like, okay, we get the point, man. Like, Echidna definitely stopped being best girl at that point. She just kept.
I feel like
saying
that's her greed. She was jealous and also upset that like the trials are supposed to be a challenge. You can't just come into it with the mindset like I don't even care about the trials. Please,
Yeah, her
trials.
greed.
I'll beat these
her
trials
greed
in 4
is-
minutes and 7 seconds. World record, baby.
Yeah, and I think the greed is because like she's greedy for suffering, and she didn't see the suffering, and that's why like she missed out on it. She's not just like neutral about it. It seems like she does get fascination from seeing people suffer and how they react to suffering and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, she's greedy for everything. She wants to experience everything. That's why she's been
Well,
loving even trauma.
Clearly, she's not greedy for Emilia speedrunning the thing.
Yo, yeah, because she's not experiencing anything. It's like she's lacking pain and happiness in these trials. Like she's not suffering, getting traumatized through it, and doesn't get the happiness of overcoming it. If she's just like, boom, I'm gonna literally run by every enemy here, and then boom, kill the boss with one shot. Oh, I beat Dark Souls in 7 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's totally a reference I get.
I think other than like her big speech to Subaru about like wanting to take over or like wanting to make that contract with him, this was the first time we saw Echidna with like any emotion as well.
Yes.
Because she was like very emotionless the entire time, like whenever she's on screen, and like
So-
this time she was actually like crying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have a question for you guys. Why do you think so? Why was it that Amelia struggled so much with the trial throughout the entire part 1 of the season? Was it because she had no memories, so she couldn't deal with it with her past?
I think it was just because she didn't have like the rock of Subaru to fully rely on. I think like that connection gave her the strength she needed to not make a too big of a deal of the past.
It was so crazy the two extents of like before she would go crazy and literally like
Yeah.
literally go insane from the trial to being like bruh, this is easy.
Like, I definitely thought her backstory was still like obviously really traumatizing.
Yes, it
But
was.
I didn't think it was like at the level of like breaking down like that. But I guess,
Yeah.
everybody reacts to things differently. So
Well,
seeing your mother and father figure like massacred like that, I don't know.
I would imagine having recollection of it would make it easier to like fight versus kind of like going into the like your past and be like, I don't remember any of this. Is this real? Like
Uh,
It's
what?
true.
Like you're almost living it for the first time.
Surprise is always worse than like expecting something and being like, ready for it.
That's another thing. I feel like Subaru had to kind of like live hit like he was the person experiencing it and like going back into his past, while like Amelia was just like watching from the shadows, like haha.
oh yeah.
Like
Yeah, that
everyone's
was an
obviously
interesting
everyone's
thing.
trial is different. Everyone's difficulty is going to be different depending on the life they've lived. It was a
Mhm.
lot of it was a very contrast.
Well, wasn't Garf's because he did the first trial as well? Wasn't he like kind of viewing from the outside as well?
He was
Like
viewing
he
from the
wasn't in
outside, yes.
his like baby self, 4-year-old self, whatever age he was.
Yeah,
So
Subaru was the special one. Like he was the exception there.
yeah,
That was another big like thing. His emotional moments there. Like we definitely got a newfound appreciation for Gar.
I like him a
yeah,
lot. I like him a
he
lot.
makes way more sense now. Like one because he's 14, and two when you see like why he was so hell bent on like all the decisions he made, like every single different reset,
I'm
more or
telling you,
less.
even when I rewatched season 2 part 1 for this podcast, I'm like I appreciated Gar so much more. And I imagine it'd be the same thing if I were to rewatch this one, like, or like rewatch the whole second season. It's just like you understand why he's making his actions a little better than when you just watch it the first time. At least for me.
Yeah, man.
I
Like
remember
I
the
gotta
first time,
say,
I'm like, Gar doesn't make any sense, man.
yeah, he doesn't. Like, I mean, his actions until you know like his circumstances, like you can't understand why he's just so fragile, where he's jumping from one opinion to another based off of like
Yeah.
just random things, right?
Although I feel like I analyzed Subaru more the second time around, so I like understood why Gar was reacting in certain ways, depending on how he came out of like how Subaru would come out of the trial.
Yeah, yeah.
We talked about it last episode, like Subaru smelling more like the witch, um, or him coming out completely unfazed, talking like Roswell, someone that Gar like hates, right?
Exactly.
So that's another thing I
Yeah,
want to talk about. How do you guys feel about Roswell in this season?
go
I
spooky.
feel he, he threw me for like a loop
Same.
because I feel like the thing that I still can't really wrap my head around is like at the very end, when he's talking to Subaru at like when he's getting or we'll just say like at the party, and he's basically saying that like, hey, even though I'm on your side, quote unquote, like my goal is still eventually to bring Echidna back into the flesh, more or less.
Yeah, and he also said like
So
this time, I guess I'll rely on you to help bring Echidna back. Like he was gonna
yeah,
like rely on Subaru.
the thing that maybe I just missed it, but like I don't get how exactly him following the Book of Wisdom was going to like bring her back. Like, was there something in there specifically where he's like, oh yeah, if we follow all this stuff, like Echidna's going to come back, or did I just miss that? Because like, what
Yeah,
is his
it
plan?
is vague. It is vague, but I assume that there are pathways through which she could come back. How clear that is through the book, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
I
'cause
believe
it
his
just makes
goal
me.
was to use Subaru in order to bring her back.
But how?
Yeah,
I
That's
don't
the
just
know.
the
thing. Like,
how.
I don't know if
The
I
how is
missed
the
it or if they
question.
said it. That's the thing that I'm like, okay, I guess they just didn't explain it because if you guys don't know either, I was
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
I'm,
so
I'm
confused how like following that would end up doing that somehow, you know?
But
But
he doesn't even have the book now, right? So now he just has to like trust that it'll happen.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I don't even know. Was Roswell just following it blindly, or was he using what the future had said to his advantage in order to help like meet his goals? Because that's what
Yeah,
I
I think
thought.
I think that's the case because
yeah.
he was like, okay, this branch of it won't help, so let's make him kill himself here so that we start again, and then you
Yes,
Mhm.
know,
I
and he wanted
agree. I
him
think he
to,
was trying to use the book, which told the future, in order to lead to an ending, and use Subaru to lead to an ending that was like resulted in like him being able to
yeah.
bring back Echidna, who was his sole reason because he loves her.
Dude, I
Ugh!
mean, I gotta say, it was so good when she just started like making out with him and like out of nowhere. You guys
I
remember that flashback?
I hate
Yeah.
how all the inspiration in this season turned out
Dude,
to be because of love.
Dude, man.
Yeah, you must have been suffering, bro.
Dude, I was so disappointed
love
with
is a
Roswell
big power,
specifically.
bro.
Pardon?
Like
Love is a big power. Like, I'm not surprised.
like I'm saying, the power of love.
I
Like,
get
what
it.
what else?
I just didn't
It would have
realize
been
watching fucking Yu-Gi-Oh here. Power of friendship just
Only power
amplified.
of friendship can rival love, and even then, they're pretty neck and neck.
yeah, man. Like, it would have been the love of something. It would have been the love of power, the love of money. It just so happened to be a Pegasus-esque situation where he's like this rich aristocrat who wants the woman to come back to life.
But even then,
I was
did
so
he
I
ever-
felt like Roswell was gonna be such a good villain. Like I love the concept of him like trying to like turn Subaru into like someone like himself that's willing to make sacrifices to achieve a certain goal. I love the fact that he was even willing to sacrifice his own body because he knew that like in the next life, like this would get him one step closer to achieving his goal. And I was so much looking forward to seeing what the goal was and like his mindset. Like he was by far my favorite character, and now I'm just like, he was all right.
I like him. I'm okay.
I
with
do
him.
too. It's
Yeah.
just like the thing that kind of, I'm wishy-washy about is what I was just saying, how like, like how is he going to bring her back? Like what was his plan? How did doing everything he did actually lead to that? Because that's the part where I'm confused. But I don't know, Briggs. Like love works in mysterious ways. Like even if we can't see like, oh, like why did he even like love a kid? No, why would he do all this for that? Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like I could understand why Subaru and Amelia have that connection at this point, and like how they like even how Amelia could now like kind of love Subaru back in a way after everything they've been through and how Subaru treats her and all that. Like I get it, but there was nothing really given to me to see how like Echidna and what's it called fell in love and Roswell fell in love if they did.
Well, take the fact that he had nothing. Like he was an outcast. She brought that up when they had originally
Oh, that's
met.
true. That is true.
And so she accepts him. She becomes a romantic interest with him by just like making out with him in the most like wet makeout ever. And then they grow that bond throughout his whole life, right? So
I take
mean,
back what
it's-
I said to a certain extent
Yeah.
because they did spend time together, and she was the one person that could understand where he was coming from and what he was feeling.
Yeah, like it's not like from when he was born, he just had like a ton of hot women throwing themselves at him, and then he's like,
Okay, I get that.
He's
It's,
like-
it's still
yeah,
to
yeah.
me it kind of sucks. Like I thought he was gonna be such a sick villain, and it just didn't turn out to be that way. But at least I appreciate that there was like
He was-
there was
he was-
good
yeah.
writing involved.
he wasn't the overall villain. He was just like a kind of antagonist for this arc. And we'll see how that progresses. Because
Yeah.
I think Ram will still try to kind of get on his good side and make him fall in love with her, even though right now he's still kind of committed to Echidna.
Yeah,
So we'll see how that
Wow,
works out.
both the what's it called? Both the maid sisters are getting cucked. You'll love to see it.
Honestly, I didn't know this would happen because before in the first season, we kind of saw her sitting on his lap, and I'm like, I thought like he kind of got something from her too, but yeah, now it seems like it's more one-sided.
Well, yeah, Roswell is literally using her as a tool. He was willing to sacrifice her at any moment to even like. She's like, oh, I can't kill young Gar right now. Let me just punch through Ram. That way I can catch him off guard.
In his defense, apparently he didn't actually believe her love was love. He thought like she was plotting a revenge against him this whole time and that she hated
Well, I
him.
mean, it just,
So
he did
that's
such
easier
a
to understand.
180 in character, man. Oh, Roswell,
What did
why
you
did you have
just
to
say?
do this to me?
Dude, this is the problem. People get their expectations set so high for characters, and then they just like hate their lives afterwards.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
low expectations, bro. Low
Dude, I like part 1 of season 2 more than part 2.
Oh, I
Or
disagree.
what? You like? No way. No
I disagree.
way.
Part 1
Fuck that.
of season 2
Fuck
more
that
than
opinion, man. Like, I disagree with that.
Well, I know
Power
both of you
of
guys
love,
disagree with it. That's
baby.
why I said it.
Power of love.
No, yeah, I was totally satisfied, guys, with this second season, especially the second part of it. I did not think it would get this good, and it did, and I see the hype now around ReZero.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say like, overall, if I were to give it like a ranking or like a score, I'd probably say like a good 7.5, maybe an 8.
Yeah, I'd give this
At this
last
point.
part a 9, and the rest I'd agree with you.
Yeah, just overall.
I'll give it
was-
overall an 8.
Yeah, I'd say it was really good. I quite enjoyed it as it progressed. Like obviously we talked about a lot of the flaws or the things that I didn't like early on, so we don't have to repeat anything. But yeah, this
Yeah,
this
exactly.
last part of the season really really brought me on the hype train, like you said.
Yeah, for sure.
I
All
fell
right,
off the
guys.
train, boys. It's so sad.
That's
No.
hilarious. You fell off the hype train. God. Anything else we want to say before wrapping up?
I mean, I think the only thing we really didn't mention is like the mansion sequence, but that one's way more straightforward.
Well, I will just say the Beatrice stuff was heartwarming as fuck.
I agree.
And
I agree with
and
that.
I really like, when she's obviously not tsundere as character, and he just kept fighting for her, even though he's like, yo, you can't be my one or two, but I could be your number one. So that was hilarious, and I just love the fact that they held hands and just like did that awesome finale against the rabbits. I thought that was very epic and satisfying.
Yeah, because I was really wondering how they were going to take care of like such an quote unquote unbeatable enemy. And I was satisfied with how they managed to do that too.
Well, he had to get Beatrice to kind of be on his side, right? Because even with like the whole mansion thing happening,
Yeah, but he also just cares
Petra
about
and
her.
Frederica were gonna just die, and she would have just not done anything. She would have just stayed there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like she
So-
has this power. She's been alive for 400 years. She's a spirit that's like super powerful, much like Roswell. I mean, Roswell's a human, but like I'm just saying she's super powerful. She could do these things, but she had no motivation to do it.
Yeah, she's more like Puck, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and they even said about them being like brother and sister kind of relationship. Yeah, so I thought that was very cute, very heartwarming, and I mean, it is like this harem developing, right? Where like even though he has his favorite girl, all the other girls are around him and love him and want to spend the rest of their lives with him, but it's cool. Like
I think this is
you know,
honestly a harem done right compared to most harems.
exactly. So like obviously it's not super realistic, but that's not what
I mean, it's a
what these kinds
fantasy
of shows
world.
are about. Exactly. And I'm okay with the way it's done. Sometimes it just makes no sense. Here, I'm okay with it. Like the girl is suicidal, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not crazy jump to not being number one or two in his heart.
Well, I just like the fact that Subaru is very upfront. Like Amelia is my number one, and like Rem confesses her love, and then you have the hilarious scene where he says, "I love Amelia." Maybe other people didn't find it hilarious like me, but like at least
was
it's straightforward,
funny.
and she still continues to like follow and support Subaru because she feels that way. And now with Beatrice, she chose him as like her number one, and like she's like, I'm gonna rely on you, and then you could rely on me type of thing. Like I like how this is done, and it's not like a normal harem where just the one character loves them all, and then all of them love
Yeah.
him. It doesn't make sense.
And
There's no
and
reason
he can't
for it.
decide. Yeah, he can't decide like what to do. I do like the flip. Like it's just a simple flip, but it worked.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't save you, but you can save me, and I need your help. I mean, that was
And,
such
I mean,
like
it
a
gave her a
cool
reason to
mental
live.
flip. Exactly. No, I really like that, and Beatrice was great in this arc.
Yeah. So we never really got to talk about her too much, like in the previous seasons. We kind of brushed over a lot of that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And it was building up for this. And again, like there are stuff that are left unanswered, like the Rem still being asleep and all of that. But just so many character arcs like are pretty satisfying right now. You
Yeah.
know, they've made progress. They're at a place where it's like, you feel good about it. And then everyone's just asking who's Rem. But besides that, things worked out.
Yeah. I'm very satisfied with how this season ended.
What
and
a
overall,
perfect
just this last
ending.
part.
Resolution to everything. And we still don't know who Rem is. He'd love to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so guys, again, reminder, we're gonna do Madoka Magica next week. It's gonna be just on the Rant Cafe Spotify, Briggs, if I understood you.
Yeah, we're still going to do it live on Twitch, and then it'll actually go to the Rant Cafe Spotify this time. We'll let you know all about that in the future. It's going to be a 1 week kind of episode, and this way me and Gozen are both virgins, and we're going to bring in Nuxie Boy while we decide what we want to do for like our next series. For example, we've been considering Jujutsu Kaisen, but we want to find a Jujutsu Kaisen virgin, So we're going to do a 1 week Madoka Magica. I've never seen it. And again, huge thank you to Spooky for joining us for the last 4 weeks, or I guess
Thank you so much.
longer than that because we had a few breaks,
Been-
but I appreciate
It's
it,
been
man.
an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Hell
If
yeah.
more ReZero comes out, you just give me a hug.
Oh yeah,
Oh, will do.
100%. You are a ReZero guy. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.
Bang!